Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class, the 31st of July, 2021. We're going to be dealing with part of Joseph that, is not in the King James, out of Jubilees. I'm asking everybody to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, and the Torah, which are the first 5 books of Moses, which was given him at Mount Sinai. Okay, so shalom and welcome to everybody. This is our Sabbath class. We're going to do our moment of silence, prayer, psalms, and then the current events. Okay. Oh Lord, we come before thee on this Sabbath day, bow down with great respect for our Redeemer. Lord, you confess through your prophet Isaiah that you would turn us and that you would pour your spirit out upon us. And this you have done, O Lord, in great fashion. Because of this, O Lord, we have found you within your holy scriptures, great in counsel, mighty in works, for thine eyes are open upon all the ways of men, to give everyone according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. O Lord, behold, thou hast made the heavens and the earth by thy great power and stretched out arm. There is nothing too hard for thee. Knowing all these things, O Lord, we eagerly await thy coming, the day in which thou wilt break the yoke of our oppressors. Peace be unto you. Okay. Read the psalm. Okay. Okay. Psalm 63 is God satisfies the thirsty soul. It's a song of David when he was in the wilderness of Judah. O God, thou art my God. Eagerly will I seek thee. My soul thirsty for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land, where no water is, to see thy power and thy glory, so as I have seen thee in the sanctuary, because thy loving kindness is better than life. My lips shall praise thee. Thus will I bless thee while I live. I will lift up my hands in thy name. My soul shall be satisfied as with the marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise thee with joyful lips. When I remember thee upon my bed and meditate on thee in the night watches, because thou hast been my help. Therefore, in the shadow of thy wings will I rejoice. My soul followeth hard after thee. Thy right hand upholdeth me. But those that seek my soul to destroy it shall go into the lower parts of the earth. They shall fall by the sword. They shall be a portion for foxes. But the king shall rejoice in God. Everyone that sweareth by him shall glory. But the mouth of them that speak lies shall be stopped. Okay, that's Psalm 63. God satisfies the thirsty soul. Okay. Anybody got any current events they want to bring up?
I just wanted to mention, I'm not sure if I mentioned it last night or not, but we were talking about all the things that are taking places in Turkey, China, Sydney. I was on YouTube and there's a new movie that's going to come out next month in the UK.
Okay.
And the movie is going to be called The New World Order. So I know we've talked about how they just put things in front of our face. They're letting us know what's going to be happening.
Right.
So if you guys get a chance, just watch that movie. It's coming out next month.
Right. Yeah, that's their way to communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We just pun. They're making millions of dollars off us. We go to see the movie, but they using Hollywood to communicate with each other.
Right.
Same way with when the terrorists, when they get ready to do something, they put out a video. Well, the video ain't for us. The videos to tell them the people that's out there sleeper cells what to do. They know how to read it. They know how to watch the video and read it and know what they got to do.
Mm.
We don't get off
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
I don't want to get shit around.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's how they operate. So like I was saying before, so when you do your research, then you picking out what they same thing they doing. Like I say, they put stuff in there. Uh, you know, for example, they got the regular, the Masons. They got the Prince Hall Masons, the Black Masons. Then you have the White Masons. Then you got the Masons that's in the White Lodges. They got the truth of the matter. They know they got the real books and the real information about the history and everything that happened. And then they gave us a rendition to keep us dumbed down like zombies. But they know the truth. So when they put these movies out, they put the truth in the movie. And then the Illuminized banker and Illuminati, they see it. They see the movie for what it is. But we got another whole run down version of it. So
Right.
that's why I'm always referencing movies all the time. So anyway, okay. So let me give you this right here. Then pick it up from now.
I think the ruling elites are just so out of touch at this point. Remember, they don't live in the same country we live in. They live in a country, a writer for the
That's what I'm talking about. These are people they make the movies for right here.
New Yorker called Richistan. They don't fly commercial airlines. They're on $500 million yachts. They live on palatial estates. They're like, the elites who retreated into Versailles or the Forbidden City. And unfortunately, they have almost unchecked power, but also are woefully out of touch with the suffering and misery that's rippling across the country itself. You're asking, will they sacrifice? Yes, they already. There was an article in the Washington Post, I think it was yesterday, about how most people within the Trump administration have opted for herd immunity. What does that mean? It means that we won't attempt to control or check the pandemic. We'll just let it ripple through the population, with health experts estimate 2 million dead. And those who aren't killed, hopefully will have antibodies, and the capitalist system will get back into its old rhythms again. Yeah, they're perfectly willing to dispose of us, and certainly perfectly willing to dispose of people in the developing world. That's not particularly new. So yes, that they they care only about their own, and the rest of us don't matter.
Right. So like I was saying before, these people right here that he talking about is these are people I told you that for example, they created New Testament, right? And then they're the ones that wrote everything that's written in red, got everybody, the population doing it. Well, that's how they got rich, billions of dollars. So the same people created Christmas. They created Christmas. They sit back and reap all the benefits, all the money off of it. Then they created Black Friday. Sit back and reap all the benefits, all the billions of trees of dollars that come from it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we just run and go do whatever they create.
Right. Easter and everything else.
They sit back creating this. But what I was trying to get you to see, them same folks that today they descended from the same one. Them the ones killed Caesarion. That's why he went off. He goes against the whole. They set this whole narrative about him turning the other cheek, and they, pluck his beard out. And he ain't gonna do nothing. But so why he went off in the temple and turned the tables over and kicking everything around? Cause when he got there, them the people that killed his daddy, Julius Caesar. That's why he flipping the tables over. The money changers. They the ones want the money, making the money. They was there. What I was just reading in Malachi yesterday when he said, how I'm gonna receive from you when you bringing me a lame pigeon, when you bringing me a lame cripple or lamb to sacrifice on the altar, because they didn't give a damn. They trying to make money. Whatever they are, a three-legged lamb, whatever they are, you give me $15, and then we're gonna sacrifice it. And that's who he's talking to in Malachi. He's Edomite priest that mixed in there, that came in there. And it's all about money, getting money. That's the reason they killed Julius Caesar. He was giving money to the poor. And that's how he became the Caesar. The people, he's a people's ruler. They loved him. And it's because he was taking money from the treasury from these crooked bankers, and they said they got together and killed him. And that's why Caesarion went off. When he walked up there and seen them at the money changes. Like I said, go back and read everything he said when he turning them tables over. Okay? That's a golden nugget. Okay, see what else I got.
Brother Leonard.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay.
You're right. I was just thinking when you were talking, this is all the dark ages, and now you're finally shedding light on it. They kept it from us all this time period.
Right. And the Lord of hosts timing it. He know when to bring it out, and he know who to use to bring it out. He doing all that behind. When you understand who he is, he's the one doing all this. It's like I said, a Moab, a point of time.
Right.
Ain't nothing nobody can do about it. When he get ready to do it, it's gonna happen. Yeah. So let me get this. This is about like for instance, just another example with situation where all we see is that the Haitian president got killed, right? He came up on the news. He got assassinated, right? We so brain dead because of we got black males getting killed every day. So that's just like another black male that got killed. Nobody gonna do no serious research on it. So here we go. Okay. This guy kind of give a little rendition of how it all went down. I got one more video after that.
Welcome to yet another edition of the news brought to you by Johnson Nundem. Welcome to all new viewers. If you're watching this video for the very first time, please do consider to subscribe, to turn the bell on, to comment, and to share. You are our #1 supporters. In today's video, we'll be talking about the last words of the president. He called 2 people before he died. Who were they, and why did they not come to his rescue? Let's find out right now. My life is in danger. Last words of the president of Haiti, Jovenel Moise, before dying. On July 7th, in Port-au-Prince, from his place of residence, the president of Haiti set off the alarms of the authorities after calling desperately around 1 a.m. in the morning, warning that his life was in danger. A desperate call and a plea amid a sound of bullets. These were the last words of the president of Haiti, Jovenel Moise, before he was brutally attacked by 12 bullet wounds and several blows to his body.
So you gotta understand right there what you're looking at. This the fate of the boule too. When they all go down, most Lord hosts get on the move. This the fate of the boule too.
On July 7th, in Port-au-Prince, from his place of residence, the president of Haiti set off the alarms of the authorities after calling desperately around 1 a.m. in the morning, warning that his life was in danger. The call was made at 1:34 a.m. in the morning, minutes after an attack with bursts of long weapons began in the vicinity of the ruler's home. The recipient of the communication was the commissioner of the Haitian National Police, who received the complaint that the president was making. "They are shooting next to the house," said Moise, in the midst of total nervousness and asking for the immediate mobilization of forces to prevent his murder. According to Miami Herald newspaper, Moise, who was about to be attacked, asked the police to send all available forces to prevent a crime from being committed, that he and his family were killed. In the middle of the conversation, says the outlet, detonations were heard. But after 10 minutes of waiting and clamoring, help did not come. And Moise decided to make another call. This last recipient would be a tactically trained police officer who was trusted by him. "I need your help now," said the president to the midst of despair, like the American newspaper. "Where are you?" Joanna Moise said, calling the officer by his name after the latter replied, "Mr. President, I need your help now. My life is in danger. Come quickly, come save my life." The president asked desperately. At that moment, before the call ended, the president did not say a word. There was total silence, and it was then that a loud sound of a rifle was heard. There, the officer, whose name remains anonymous, yelled at his fellow officer, "Everyone, get back to your cars. We have to go now." When the police forces arrived at Moi's residence, it was too late. The president was dead. Revelations of the First Lady. New clues of what happened are known daily. Haitian authorities confirmed that more than a dozen former Colombian military personnel were.
Yeah, so let's look at this, right? From a biblical perspective. So you gotta know, if you don't know, you're gonna find out now. The Psalms, you see me reading the Psalms all the time. Well, they're the Psalms of David. And if you dive into that, you understand that David is constantly praising the Yah and worshiping him, thanking him for he got enemies. He got people all around him they want him dead. They're trying to kill him all over the place. But you see what happened. David lived to a good old ripe age, and when he died, he was strong. And so his enemies never prevailed over him because he's trusting in the Lord of hosts. He had his hope and his trust in the Lord of hosts. He understood that. His forefathers had told him who the Lord of hosts was, what heaven was, and all that. He trusted in that. So they never overcame him. Well, we see these guys, they're falling like flies all over Africa. Why? They ain't dealing with Yah. They ain't dealing with heaven. And their enemies overtaking them. Like he said, overtaking them in the straight. One by one. They ain't dealing with Yah. It's a kingdom that's above them, and everybody up there looks just like them. But they trusting in these clowns, and he called them. So he ain't open up, make a phone call to heaven. He made a phone call to these clowns right here, and they ain't answered. And his enemies came in. And this happened one after another.
Hired as mercenaries, while other Asian officials were also involved. Clean the house. The other that the former Colombian military in Haiti received, and that they did not comply with. Okay, we exclusively also learned about the shocking story that the First Lady of Haiti gave to the FBI agents who collaborate in clarification of the murder of her husband with judicial sources in Port-au-Prince. It dismays from beginning to end, and it is no.
So this two son right here, right? Anybody know the story about that? You want to watch the rest of that? It's the last call. I think it is that. Let me see. Oh yeah, it's the president. Haiti's president called two people to save himself, right? So that's what you want to watch the rest of that. So I want to see how I want to go back in time, right, and see how we got to the point where he gets shot down, with machine guns. Okay, here we go.
In Haiti, and this is what you'll likely hear. Poverty, natural disaster, now political violence.
Every report about Haiti has to include the line that it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
But hold on for a second. Something's missing in this conversation, right? We need to be all thinking about the relationship of what we're calling poverty in Haiti and the relation to the richness of the rest of the world. And how did the rest of the world get so rich? Let's start with France. Imagine if you were enslaved, and after fighting for your independence, you were forced to spend the next couple of generations paying compensation to those who colonized you.
Reparations for slaveholders is a new one for me.
That is exactly what happened to Haiti. This is punishment for their unwillingness to remain.
So let's look at that. Pull the scripture right quick. So you can be in the right place. So I read this last night. Give you an overview of what's really going on with Haiti. Isaiah. Show you why the Lord host saying what he's saying. So I showed you that the head, when it started 2,500 years ago, was Israel was sinning against the Lord host. And then he said the whole head was sick. Judah, Benjamin, Levi is the heads, especially the priesthood, Judah and Judah, but Levi's the one distributed the knowledge. They're the ones to guide the priests, listening to these angels, and then they come and give the people knowledge to keep them on the right path, to stay right in right standing with Yah. They went away from that, so they received the bulk of the punishment, the Levites. So when they came and got the head, which was Judah, Benjamin, Levi, it was on the West Coast. It was the kingdom of the Ashanti, which is the priesthood. They ended up over. Most of them ended up in Haiti. Then you got Judah. Most of them came to America, and then Benjamin. That's the Caribbeans and all that area over there. Most of them, the bulk of them. So who is Haiti? That's the Ashanti, the priest. So let's look at what the Most High says is going to happen in the last days. I read this last night. He said, behold my servant. Yeah, that's Levi. He took them away from the rest of the tribe and brought them to himself. His servant. They serving him in the temple. The temple is his. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted. See? Look what they are now. Look what Haiti is right now. They shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. That's why he's saying that. The guy just said that Haiti at the bottom of the food chain. See that? And many were astonished at thee. See, they're astonished at him right now. Everything that's constantly happening to him. His vestige was so marred. See that? His vestige so marred than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. But so shall he sprinkle many nations. See that? He gonna Most High gonna bring him back up to where he was at. And his job was to teach everybody the knowledge of the Most High, sprinkle the blood on the people and all that. So he says, so shall he sprinkle many nations, the kings, that's these Illuminati bankers and everybody, shall shut their mouths at him. See, when Michael finished with him, they shall shut their mouths at him for that which had not been told him, shall they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. So while we haven't seen it, and while we ain't heard it, because they can't afford to tell us. They can't afford to tell the world that these people right here were the Levites. So they heed all that, but now that it's coming out, he's telling you right here in verse 15, so shall he sprinkle many nations, kings shall shut their mouths at him, for that which had not been told them, and that which told them shall they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. So we see that now, right here. So now I'm going to play the rest of this.
What chapter?
In 1697, France and Spain ended a war with each other by dividing up the Spanish colony Hispaniola. Through the labor of enslaved indigenous and black people, Saint-Domingue became the world's most profitable colony, exporting sugar, coffee, and indigo. Enslaved people in Saint-Domingue suffered some of the harshest and cruelest slave punishments in the entire Atlantic world. Life expectancy was extremely low, such that at the moment of the Haitian Revolution breaking out in August 1791, the vast majority of enslaved people had only been on the island for 2 or 3 years. They were from whatever nation that they had been captive and brought over, and they basically said no. Self-liberated Africans led the Haitian Revolution and ended slavery in present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic. After 12 years of fighting the French colonial power, which had tried to reintroduce slavery, the formerly enslaved people of Saint-Domingue officially declared their independence and renamed their country Haiti. Many countries, including the United States, refused to recognize Haitian independence in fear of slave rebellions. And France refused to accept Haiti's independence unless Haiti paid 150 million francs as so-called compensation for lost revenues from slavery. That was around 10 times Haiti's annual budget. But Haiti couldn't decline the indemnity request since the French came ready for war, carrying more than 500 cannons on their ships. Articles from that period show that the French king knew the Haitian government wouldn't be able to repay the debt, which decimated Haiti's economy. Haitians had extremely high taxes, and most of the tax revenue was paid for the indemnity. This left the education system, public infrastructures, and healthcare underdeveloped. Agricultural land was also depleted to grow cash crops that paid for the debt but couldn't feed the country. It took Haiti 122 years to pay off its debt and required taking high interest loans.
You say investors were so more than any man. Keep that in mind.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy to say that Haiti is poor and Haiti must be poor. And I think the better question, whenever an entire people is characterized as poor with this word, is to say, not why are they poor, but why aren't you? But it's not just the French who have played a role in Haiti's misery. So the United States has intervened in Haitian affairs quite a lot. President Moïse's assassination in 2021 left some Haitian officials calling for U.S. intervention, but not everyone agrees. The only way that could ever even have a fruitful outcome would be if it was because they were in dialogue with Haitian people for the first time, because that is not what usually happens. That's not what happens at all. They dialogue with the people claiming power, and some negotiation is struck between those vying for power and the United States government. There's a lot of people saying, no, we don't want the United States to come and intervene again, because this is, again, a repetition of history. The history that Professor Doubt is talking about involves the United States' 19-year occupation of Haiti, an occupation that killed thousands of Haitians. Following the assassination of Haiti's president in 1915, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson's administration invaded Haiti to protect U.S. investments. And then,
so they ain't just start killing Haitian presidents, they've been killing.
They forced the election of a new Haitian president who would protect American interests in the country. Racist and fear-mongering rhetoric was used to justify the move. The occupation ensured that the U.S. prioritized its own interests in Haiti over what was best for Haitians. The U.S. occupation ended in 1934, after local dissent and rebellion grew too costly for the U.S. to control. But even after the occupation, the United States continued to play a role in the internal affairs of Haiti. In 1957, the U.S. government threw its support behind a Haitian dictator, François Duvalier. Duvalier and his successor, aka his son Jean-Claude, ate up aid from the United States in exchange for their strong anti-communist stand at the height of the Cold War. Haitian uprisings ended Duvalier Jr.'s rule and led to Haiti choosing its democratically elected leader, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, in 1990. But within a year, Aristide's government was toppled by a coup. Not only was one of the leaders of the coup on the CIA's payroll, but the US had set up and funded the Haitian military and National Intelligence Service, which both played key roles in the coup. Ousted Aristide returned to his second presidency in 2001, and again was forced out of office by a coup that he claimed the US had orchestrated. And after that, President Obama's cabinet pressured a Haitian presidential candidate to withdraw in 2010.
We see reports coming out of various civil society organizations saying that Haitians have lost faith in the electoral process because it doesn't reflect their actual concerns.
And that brought us to the 2016 Haitian presidential election, where late President Moïse was elected with an extremely low voter turnout, but US backing. In February 2021, Moïse refused to step down at the end of his term. The US once again backed him while thousands of Haitian protesters took to the streets.
Many Haitians are saying, we want to try actual Haitian democracy where the Haitian people, not just the elite and the bourgeoisie and the business interests, get to have a say and determine the direction and future of the country.
It's clear that Haiti's poverty and political instability has long been
dressed so more to that bottom of the food chain,
influenced and shaped by foreign players. So, knowing this, where does Haiti go from here?
We have never been able to see what can happen in this particular Black country without meddling and interference. We should try something new in the United States, and that is back off and back away and let the Haitian people determine their own future.
Yeah, so see, that's what I was saying last night. This the purpose of the army. You know, can't be nothing else. Got to be a whole bunch of Negroes on fire to get rid of these folks, these wicked ass folks. Come on. Angelic beings. Okay, let me comment.
Hey, bro, well,
what you got?
it seems like all this is just it's like a story read out, like the Book of Revelation. It's like It's like a script, and they sticking to the script.
Exactly.
But you know the Lord of hosts, He know the end before the beginning. And it's already predestined. And, but you know, like these people getting the juice. I ain't gonna say the word. The juice, and they you know it's looking like it's leading up to their mark of the beast, and and all that fabricated book do is put fear in people, where like you said in the song, it's encouraging, it's telling you don't fear, trust in your God, trust in the God of Jacob, and you know, and I know everybody on this panel trust in the God of Jacob, and we have nothing to fear.
Right. Exactly. And that fear, you get that understanding, and you get that strength from knowing. That's why they didn't skewed everything, because most people don't have a clue on, they have no understanding on how it really goes. Yeah. Is there something? Shalom. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else got anything on that? Okay. So I'm gonna open it up right now for some questions and in the comments, and then I'm going to Jubilees and deal with Joseph.
Brother Leonard.
Okay.
When you were reading in Isaiah, what chapter was that?
52, 13, 14, 15. So you know what's coming. You know what comes after chapter 52, right?
53.
Right. The suffering servant. That's the one. That's
the priesthood.
Right. Yeah, but that's the golden cord right there where they use come in the New Testament read. But the suffering servant ain't JC. It's Levites.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Long. Right. So yeah. So 13, 14, and 15 of Isaiah 52 tell you who the servant is before you even get to 53. Right. Okay. So yeah. Um. Anybody else got any comments on that? Any questions about anything before we go into the book? Jubilees. Okay. Let me get it. So what you have to understand about the book of Jubilees, uh, everything that we're doing down here was brought down into us from above, from heaven. So the language, the Hebrew was in heaven, and the angels brought it down to the earth. The Hebrew language. That's how we got it. Like I said, I showed you it's a book that they're looking at in heaven. Let me go to it. Some people might not hear this. So in Daniel chapter 10, Gabriel is revealing some stuff to Daniel, and he says in verse 20, then he said, know thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now will I turn to fight with the prince of Persia, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. 21, but I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. That's the book that's in heaven, right? And there is none that holdeth with me with these things but Michael, your prince. So Gabriel is telling you right here, when you write it divided, that he looking, it's a book he's looking at. That's how the prophets are able to prophesy, because the angels come down telling them something that's going to happen in the future, warning them, getting them ready for it, and getting Israel ready for it. So when they tell them, the prophet goes and say it, then it comes to pass. So they're able to prophesy. So what you have to understand, I'm going to read it again. So for the people that's, standing on one leg, it says, then said he, know thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. There is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince. Gabriel and Michael. JC ain't there. See that? JC ain't in there. He says, me and Michael, the only two looking at this book. Ain't no son or he ain't nowhere, no bush, Abraham bosom, nowhere. He told you right here, I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. There is none holdeth with me, but Michael, your prince. Gabriel and Michael. Ain't no JC round, Issa, and none of that. And he ain't around nowhere. He Johnny come lately. Okay? So you can't reference that. You can't reference what's being said over there. You can't reference it because he ain't there. He ain't looking at it. He ain't involved in this, in the process. Okay? All right. So back to Jubilees. He's saying this book Jubilees is it's the reason why it's called Jubilees, because you got 6 days, you kill the ground, and 6 days you work, and then the 7th day you rest. That's what we're doing right now, Shabbat. So whereas also the earth has a day, have a year that it rests. The land, you got 6 days you till the ground. 6 years you till the ground. The 7th year you let it rest. So 7 times 7 is 49, and then the 50th year is Jubilee. So that's why you got the book of Jubilees. That's what Jubilee means. Every 50 years. So that's how they keep time in heaven. So Jubilees, the angels telling the story in the book of Jubilees. That's why it's written the way it's written, because they telling the story. So like I said before, who you gonna listen to? You're gonna listen to some white dude or some rabbi somewhere in Pakistan somewhere, or you gonna listen to what the angels said? They eternal beings. They was there. They been there. Who you gonna listen to? So, and how you gonna rightly divide it? So here we go. I'm in Isaiah. I'm in Jubilees chapter 42. Listen. missing information out of the story of Joseph. Okay. It says, in the first year of the third week, see that? That's why he's talking like this. The angel's talking. In the first year of the third week of the 45th Jubilee, the famine began to come in the land, and the rain refused to be given to the earth. None whatsoever failed. See that? It's a problem. In case you don't know that, they are intentionally withholding the rain. They over the rain. And somebody told them cut the rain off. So it says, the earth became barren, but in the land of Egypt there was food, because Joseph had gathered the seed of the land in the 7 years of plenty and had preserved it. So let's look at that. So, like I was telling you before, the Most High, these angels in heaven, they steady working their jelly. You down here fumbling and ain't got no clue on how everything go. And the whole time, what you stressing out about, they already working their jelly, getting it straightened out. So let's look at it. Let me read it again. In the first year of the third week of the 45th Jubilee, the famine began to come in the land, right? And the rain refused to be given. See that? The rain refused to be given to the earth. None whatsoever failed. So it's a decree went out. Cut the rain off. You ain't got nothing to do with it. See that? It says the earth became barren, but the land of Egypt, there was food, because Joseph had gathered the seeds of the land in the 7 years of plenty and had preserved it. See that? Joseph. All this going on, the water being held and all this being cut off, all this stuff going on, cause Joseph. See that? So then it says, the Egyptians came to Joseph that he might give them food, and he opened the storehouses where grain of the first year was stored, and he sold it to the people of the land for food. Jacob heard there was food in Egypt, and he sent his 10 sons so that they should procure food for him in Egypt. And they arrived among those that went there, but Benjamin he did not send. Joseph recognized them, but they did not recognize him. He spoke to them and questioned them, and he said to them, are ye not spies, and have ye not come to explore ways to enter this land? And he put them in custody. Excuse me. After that, he sent them free again and detained Simeon along and sent his 9 brothers away. He filled their sacks with corn, and he put their gold back. Let me see that. Their gold back into their sacks, and they did not know it. Joseph then commanded them to bring their younger brother, because they had told him their father was living, and also their younger brother. They went up from the land of Egypt, and they came to the land of Canaan. There they told their father all that had happened to them, and how the ruler of the country had spoken rudely to them, and had seized Simeon until they should bring Benjamin. Jacob said, you have taken my children from me. Joseph is gone. Simeon also is gone. And now you will take Benjamin away. I am the victim of your wickedness. And he said, my son will not go down with you, because faith may have it that you may fall sick. Their mother gave birth to 2 sons, and one has died, and the one also you will take from me. If by faith he took the fever on the road, and you would turn my old age to sorrow and death. He saw that every man's money had been returned to him in his sack, and for this reason he feared to send him. Right? So the famine increased and became grievous in the land of Canaan, and in all the lands except in the land of Egypt, except Egypt had in the land of Egypt. Egypt had food, because many of the children of the Egyptians had stored up their seed for food from the time when they saw Joseph gathering seeds and putting it in the storehouses and preserving it for the year of the famine. So let's look at this. So, like I told you, these angels, 2 of them specifically, Michael and Gabriel, looking on this book. Well, did they not tell Joseph? They interpreted the Pharaoh's dream and told Joseph, listen, it's 7 years of famine coming. But before these 7 years come, 7 years of plenty. So he told Joseph what to do. Store all this stuff up, because after the 7 years of plenty over with, I'm coming and shut everything down. So the only reason that Egypt is in the predicament it's in because these angels told Joseph what to do. So let's read it again. The famine increased. See, there's somebody behind it. It ain't just happening on just for the hell of it. The famine increased and became grievous in the land of Canaan and in all the lands except in the land of Egypt. See that? Egypt had food because many of the children of the Egyptians had stored up their seed for food on the time when they saw Joseph gathering seeds together and put it in the storehouses and preserving it for the years of famine, right? The people of Egypt fed themselves on it during the first year of their famine. But when Israel saw that the famine was very serious in the land, that there was no deliverance, he said to his sons, "Go again and procure food for us so that we will not die." They said, "We shall not go unless our youngest brother go with us." Israel saw that if he did not send Benjamin with them, they would all perish because of the famine. See that? So he got the Egyptians on freeze frame. He got these Joseph brothers on freeze, and he got Jacob on freeze. They ain't got no other choice but to do what he said do. See that? You don't want to send him, but you're gonna starve to death. So he got to send Benjamin. Well, that's where he want Benjamin at, because that's where Joseph at. So he says, Reuben said, "Give him to me, and if I don't bring him back to you, kill my two sons in payment of his soul." Israel said to Reuben, "He shall not go with you." Judah came near and said, "Send him with me. If I do not bring him back to you, let me bear your blame all the days of my life." He sent him with him in the second year of this week on the first day of the month. So let's look at that. We're going all in. 18 says, Judah came near and said, okay, they're trying to get Jacob to release Benjamin. So the reason why he's so stuck on Benjamin and Joseph, he had them by Rachel. That was the love of his life. Yahweh, Lord of hosts, respecting that. So that's why it's so hard for him to let Benjamin go. So they got to convince him to let Benjamin go. So, and they're the only two that remind him of her. And he thinks Joseph dead, so he ain't gonna let Benjamin go. So he says, so Judah, 18, Judah came near. They can't get him to release him. Judah came near and said, "Send him with me. And if I do not bring him back to you, let me bear your blame all the days of my life." So let's look at that. So I told you last night and on several other occasions, I went to Zechariah chapter 12. So like I said, Yahweh, Lord of hosts, and everything that's going down in the scriptures ain't just happening on happenstance or just on GP. So I'm in Zechariah, right? And right now we in a pickle. Our captivity getting ready to be turned, and we in a pickle. We need to be delivered. So Judah stood up right there for Benjamin. Israel was in a pickle right there. So now let's look at this. We're in chapter 12 of Zechariah. This is a prophecy of the days that we're in right now. So, like I said, heaven is controlling everything. I'm in verse 6. In that day, that's where we at right now. When I make the kings of Judah like a heap of fire among the wood, like a torch of fire in the sheaf, they shall devour all the people round about on the right hand and on the left. This is how we get delivered. Like I said, Negroes on fire. That's the only way we're going to get delivered from these wicked folks. So he says, and Judah shall be inhabited again in our own place, even Jerusalem. 7. The Lord shall save the tents of Judah first. See that? That's why he's saying this. The Lord shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves. So he got Judah. Judah stepped up right there to go and take Benjamin and get Jacob to release Benjamin, and Judah gonna step up right here. This is why he raised Judah up first. Okay? So he ain't just doing it just on just for the hell of it. It's a process to the madness. So he says in 19, I'm back in Jubilees 42 and 19. He sent them with them in the second year of this week on the first day of the month. They all came to the land of Egypt, and they had presents in their hands of sweet spices, almonds, turpentine nuts, and pure honey. And they went and stood before Joseph, and he saw Benjamin, his brother, and he knew him, and said to them, Is this your youngest brother? And they said to him, It is he. He said, The Lord be gracious to you, my son. And he sent Benjamin into the house, and he brought out Simeon to them. Joseph made a feast for them, and they presented to him the gifts that they had brought in their hands. They ate before Joseph, and he gave them all a portion of the food. But the portion of the food given to Benjamin was 7 times larger than any of theirs. And they ate and drank and got up and remained with their donkeys. Joseph devised a plan whereby he might learn their thoughts as to whether they desired peace or not. He said to the steward who was over his house, Fill all their sacks with food, place their money back in their vessels, put my silver cup out of which I drink, in the sack of the youngest, and send them away. And he did as Joseph had told them, and filled all their sacks with food for them, and put their money back into their sacks, and put the cup in Benjamin's sack. Right? Early in the morning, see that? Early in the morning they departed, and it happened that when they had gone from the place, Joseph said to the steward of his house, Pursue them, run and seize them, and say, Ye have repaid my kindness with evil. You have stolen from me the silver cup out of my Lord's drinks. Bring me back their youngest brother. Go, get him quickly before I go to my seat of judgment. Judge you guilt of disobeying an order. He ran after them and said the words as he was told. They said to him, God forbid that your servant soul should do this thing and steal any utensil or money from the house of your Lord, like things we found in our sacks the first time we were servants, came back from the land of Canaan. We have not stolen any utensils. How could we? Look here in our sacks and search, and wherever you find the cup in the sack of any man of us, let him be killed, and we and our donkeys will serve your Lord. And he said to them, Not so. If I find it, the man whose sack I will find it in, I shall take as a servant, and the rest of you shall return in peace to your house. And he was searching in their vessels, beginning with the eldest and ending with the youngest. When it was found in Benjamin's sack, they ripped their garments in frustration and placed their belongings back in on their donkeys and returned to the city and came to the house of Joseph. They all bowed themselves with their faces to the ground in front of him. Now, ain't that what Joseph told them earlier? We was talking about a couple of weeks ago. Then Joseph tell them he had a dream that all of them was gonna bow down before him on the ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said before, it's two. I gotta reemphasize this: two angels that looking on the book, and they that's how you know that. That's how they sent the dream. They gotta the Most High send them. They enter into that person, whoever that is. He wanted to have a dream. They enter into them and cause them to have a dream. So, like I said before, you don't see JC nowhere around. He ain't in the equation. So like Joseph told him when he was young, here they is, right here with on the ground. With the, 43 and 8. They ripped their garments in frustration, placed the belongings back on their donkeys, returned to the city and came to the house of Joseph. They all bowed themselves down with their faces to the ground in front of him. He told them that. And the Most High and the angels worked their jelly all the way and made it happen. And they got down on the ground just like he told them they was going to do. Just like it was in the book. So what I'm showing you, that's all Hebrew. That's all Hebrew. That's thinking like a Hebrew. JC ain't in it. So it's a glitch in your head. When you trying to deal with JC, that's a glitch. It ain't cooperating with the story. It's been injected. Come on. So 9, Joseph said to them, you have done evil. They said, what shall we say? And how shall we defend ourselves? Our Lord has discovered the transgressions of his servants. And now we and our donkeys are the servants of our Lord. Joseph told them that. Joseph said to them, how I too fear the Lord. See that? As for you, go to your homes and let your brother be my servant, because you have done evil. I delight in this cup, as no one else delights in this cup, and yet you have stolen it from me. And Judah said, see that? Here go Judah again. It ain't a coincidence he gonna raise Judah up in these last days. First, says 11, Judah said, oh my Lord, I pray you to let your servant speak a word in my Lord's ear. Your servant's mother. See that? He's gonna break it down to him. But he ain't telling Joseph something he don't already know. But at least he got a balls to stand up and say it. Your servant mother had 2 sons for our father. One went away and was lost and has not been found since. The one alone is left of his mother. And your servant, our father, loves him and would die if the lad was lost to him. And when we go to your servant, our father, and the lad is not with us, it will happen, he would die. We would have brought much sorrow on our father, and it would bring him to his death. So this is what I was trying to explain before, was that when you understand what sin is and how that, the ramifications of it, you're thinking that, if you understand how it works, you ain't gonna do it. Because see, what they did way back in the day to Joseph, now it came back on them. And that's how sin work. You think you got away with it, but it's ramifications for it. That's what the Lord of hosts keeps saying, judgment. It's judgment. Sin brings judgment. The judgment coming. You can't get away from it. So 11 says, Judah said, oh my Lord, I pray you to let your servant speak a word in my Lord's ear. Your servant's mother had 2 sons for our father. One went away and was lost and has not been found. The one alone is left of his mother. And your servant, our father, loves him. He would die if the lad was lost to him. When we go to your servant, look what he's saying. When we go to your servant, our father, see that? And the lad is not with us, it will happen that he will die. We will have brought much sorrow on our father. It will bring him to death. So what are you talking about? The wicked ass stuff you done to Joseph when it started. See that? 13. Now, rather let me, your servant, stay here. See this? Judah stepping up. Stay here as a bondsman. Come on. Ain't that where we at right now? As a bondsman to my Lord instead of the boy. Let the lad go with his brothers, because I will stand in for him at the hand of your servant, our father. If I do not bring him back, your servant will bear the blame of our father forever. Joseph saw that they were all in accord and doing good to one another. Then he could not restrain himself, and he told them that he was Joseph. And he conversed with them in the Hebrew tongue. See that? He conversed with them in the Hebrew tongue and hugged their necks and wept. So let's look at that. So that's B. So he says, and he conversed with them. He told them who he was, right? And then he conversed with them in the Hebrew tongue. Well, look at this. Ain't this what y'all doing? Y'all getting ready to do? I mean, Zephaniah. He showed us who he is, right? He revealed to us. He brought the books back out, and we found out who he was. So look what the next step is. I mean, Let me find it. See? Okay, here we go. From Zephaniah 3 and 9. So he already opening up scriptures, and we found him in scriptures, right? He had hid his face from us. Now he didn't reveal himself to us. Well, next thing you gotta do, 3 and 9. Then will I turn unto thee, to the people, a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, serve him with one consent. See that? So we can't call him, we can't deal with him the right way, because we don't know his name. We ain't dealing with him in Hebrew. So he just showed us who he is, and right here, when the time comes, then will I turn to the people, a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, serve him with one consent. So all that time Joseph was dealing with them, they had hid his identity from them, talking to them in Egyptian. And then when he finally revealed himself to them, then he talked to them in Hebrew. There ain't nothing new under the sun. So let me read again. I'm in Jubilees 43 and 14. Joseph saw that they were all in accord and doing good to one another. Same with Most High. When we see that we all coming together, then he revealed himself to us, and then he brought back the language. So he said, Joseph saw they were all in one accord and doing good one another. Then he called, and he could not refrain himself. And he told them that he was Joseph. And he conversed with them in the Hebrew tongue. See that? And hugged their necks and wept. See that? Okay. 16. At first, they did not recognize him, and then they began to weep. And he said to them, do not weep for me, but hurry and bring my father to me. See, it is my mouth that speaks, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see me. Pay attention. This is the second year of the famine, and there are still 5 years to come without harvest or fruit or trees or plowing. You and your household come down quickly, so that you won't die because of the famine. Do not be grieved for your possession, because the Lord sent me. See that? The Lord sent me before you to set things in order that many people might live. See that? Back to the book. Sitting down there early because they're looking at a book. All right, 19. Tell my father that I am still alive. You see that the Lord has made me as a father to Pharaoh and ruler over his house and over all the Lord and all the land of Egypt. So let's look at that again, because the concept of the Lord of hosts, you figure was, I got this out of some back of some trash can or something. 19 says, tell my father, that Joseph told Judah, tell my father that I am still alive. You see that the Lord has made me the father to Pharaoh. Now look at this. And ruler over his house and over all the land of Egypt. So he made Joseph the ruler over the Pharaoh's house. That's what the Lord of hosts is. Creator got a house and it's in heaven. And he made Michael ruler over his house. Okay? So it ain't nothing I dug up. So 21. By the commands of the Pharaoh's mouth, he gave them chariots and provisions for the way, and gave them all multicolored raiment and silk. So let's look at it. When Joseph was young, daddy gave him a multicolored garment, and they hated him for that. And they ended up doing everything they did to him because of the garment. And they ripped the garment up and put goat blood all on it. So right here, it's on the other end of that, 22. He sent let me go back up. Yeah, 21. By the commands of the Pharaoh's mouth, he gave them chariots and provisions for the way, and he gave them, look at this, he gave them all all the boys. Same thing they was hating on Joseph for. Joseph put it on them. He says, and he gave them all multicolored raiment. See that? And silver. Ain't that something? And he sent corn, raiment, silver, 10 donkeys that carried all of this to his father, and he sent them away. They went up and told their father that Joseph was alive and was measuring out corn to all the nations of the earth, and that he was ruler over all the land of Egypt. But their father did not believe it, because he was not in his right mind. But when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent, the life of his spirit revived, and he said, "It is enough for me if Joseph lives. I go down and see him before I die." Right? Okay, so I'm gonna read. Anybody got any comments? I'm gonna read 44, but I'm gonna open up for some comments first. Anybody got any comments? Let me see what this guy's talking about. Says, so even when Benjamin sinned in Israel, Judah went up first. In Judges 28. Okay, yeah, I can go for that. Let's look at that. So Judges chapter 20 and verse 18. Judges 20 and 18. Okay. Says Israel defeated in 2 battles, and the men of Israel, besides Benjamin, was numbered with 400,000 men that drew swords. All these were men of war. And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God, asked counsel of God, and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. Right. It's on the money, brother. Appreciate that. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody else got any comments on what they just heard? What was read? They learn anything? Okay. I'll go to read 44 right quick. Open up for some Q&A. 44 says Israel took his journey from Haran's house on the new moon. See if I'm right. Yeah. Says Israel took his journey from Haran's house on the new moon of the 3rd month. He stopped at the well of the oak on the way, and he offered sacrifices to God of his father Isaac on the 7th of this month. Jacob remembered the dream that he had at Bethel, and he feared to go down to Egypt. He was thinking of sending words to Joseph to come to him, because he did not want to go down. He remained there 7 days, hoping fate would permit him to see a vision as to whether he should remain or go down. And he celebrated the harvest of the festival of the first fruit with old grain, because in all the land of Canaan there was not a handful of seed in the ground, because the famine was affecting all the beasts, cattle, birds, and all the men. On the 16th, the Lord appeared to him and said to him, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, here I am. And he said to him, I am the God of your father, God of Abraham and Isaac. Do not be afraid to go down into Egypt, because I will be there to make you great, make you a great nation, right? And I will go down with you, and I will bring you up again. You will be buried in this land, and Joseph will put his hands on your eyes and close them in death. Do not be afraid. Go down to Egypt. See, he's telling them something in the future. He got this out of the book, and he came and he's telling Joseph that. So ain't nothing on heaven and earth or in hell gonna stop that. It's gonna come to pass. So 7 says you got to have the eyes and ears to identify that, right? So it says 7, and as his sons got up and placed their father and their possessions on wagons, Israel got up from the well of oak on the 16th of the 3rd month, and he went to the land of Egypt. Israel sent Judah before him to his son Joseph to examine the land of Goshen, because Joseph had told his brethren that they should come and live there, so they could be near him. This was the best land in Egypt. It was near to him and suitable for all the cattle they had. These are the names of the sons of Jacob who went in Egypt with Jacob, their father, Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, and his sons Enoch, Palu, Hezron, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Karma, making 5. Simeon and his sons, Jamal, Jamin, Oded, and Joktan, Zohar, Shul, and okay, I'm gonna skip this. So I'm gonna get over here to 17. 17. These are the sons of Jacob, and their sons whom Leah bore to Jacob in Mesopotamia, 6. And their one sister Dana, and all the souls of the sons of Leah, and their sons who went with Jacob, their father into Egypt, 29 souls in Jacob, making 30. Were the number of the people that went down in Egypt. And the sons of Zipporah, Leah's handmaiden, the wife of Jacob, that bore to Jacob Gad, Asher, and their sons who went into Egypt, went with him into Egypt. The sons of Gad and Zephon and Haggai, Shuni, Asman, Ezra, Ari, Aradi, which make 8 souls in total. The sons of Asher are 20. All the souls were 14, and all those of Leah were 44. The sons of Rachel, the wife of Jacob, and Joseph of Benjamin. These were born to Joseph in Egypt before his father came into Egypt. Those whom Ashenah, daughter of Potiphar, priest of Heliopolis, gave birth to him, Manasseh and Ephraim. The wife of the children of Joseph totaled 3. The sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Naaman, going down 24. So it said all the souls, offsprings of Rachel were 26. And the souls, and I'm in 31, chapter 44. Says these are the children of the children of children, in all 70. But 5 died in Egypt in the time of Joseph ruled, and they had no children. In the land of Canaan, 2 sons of Judah died, and Onan, and they had no children, and the children of Israel buried those who died, and they were counted among the 70 Gentile nations. On the new moon of the 4th month, is 45, in the 2nd year of the 3rd week of the 44th Jubilee, Israel went into the country of Egypt, to the land of Goshen. Joseph went to meet his father Jacob in the land of Goshen, and he hugged his father's neck and wept. So right here, you hear a lot of people say that, the land, when you start talking about the Most High multiplied the 12 tribes of Israel, and they can't see how that land that's over there now can hold them. Well, the land is way bigger than what you think. He told Abraham, let's look at it. I'm back in King James, in Genesis chapter 15. So it says in 15 verse 18, in the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river Egypt. That's from Goshen, right here, what they're talking about, from Goshen. From the river Egypt, that's the Nile, unto the great river Euphrates. So when he said from the river Egypt, Egypt is the reason why Goshen is so fertile, because the Nile River is dumping all that soil out every once a year in Goshen. So from Goshen all the way to Mesopotamia, to Euphrates, that hold all that land mass belonging to Abraham. So there's a whole lot of land. So it says, on the new moon of the 4th month, I'm in 45 of Jubilee. In the 2nd year of the 3rd week of the 45th Jubilee, Israel went into the country of Egypt, to the land of Goshen. So from Goshen to the Euphrates is the land that belonged to Israel. Joseph went to meet his father Jacob in the land of Goshen, and he hugged his father's neck and wept. Israel said to Joseph, "Now that I have seen you, let me die, that my Lord God of Israel, and may the Lord God of Israel, the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, who was not withheld his mercy and his grace from his servant Jacob, be blessed. It is enough for me to have seen your face while I was yet alive. Yes, this is the true vision which I saw at Bethel. Blessed be the Lord my God forever and ever, and blessed be his name." Joseph and his brothers ate bread in the presence of their father and drank wine, and Jacob rejoiced with very great joy because he saw Joseph eating with his brothers and drinking in the presence of him. And he blessed the Creator of all things, who had preserved him, and had preserved for him his 12 sons. So let's look at this. I'll keep on talking about thinking like a Hebrew, right? So it says in verse 4, Jubilees 45 and 4. It says, "It is enough for me to have seen," this Jacob talking, "it is enough for me to have seen your face while I am yet alive. Yes, this is the true vision which I saw at Bethel." So why am I reading that? So I was telling you, the Israelite, in particular the Levite, herds, flocks and herds. He got to have flocks and herds with him. He ain't nothing. He ain't nothing without the flocks and the herds. That's why we're in the predicament we're in. Because he needs flocks and herds to make sacrifice to his God. His God demands sacrifices. He got 3 feast days he gotta perform 3 times a year. He needs flocks and herds with him. The Creator, when he said he hid his face from us, that's why he took the flocks and the herds. Another thing, Joseph had a dream as a little boy. That dream guided him. You know, he ain't nothing without the dream. You know what I'm saying? So go back to the dream. How you get the dream? The melanin. What the pineal gland inside the brain doing? It's secreting melanin out in the body, and that's how the Most High dealing with these men and dealing with the Israelites through the melanin. So Joseph's whole life hinging off the dream he had at Bethel, and so he ain't well until the Most High brought the dream to pass. So here we are over in America, you getting dreams and you waking up and going down to Burger King, get something to eat. You ain't trying to deal with the dream you had. So you got 2 left shoes on. Let's not talk about trying to rightly divide the word. How you gonna rightly divide the word? You can't. Come on. So 6, 45 and 6. Joseph and his brothers ate bread in the presence of their father and drank wine, and Jacob rejoiced with a very great joy because he saw Joseph eating with his brothers and drinking in the presence of him, and he blessed the Creator of all things, who had preserved him and who had preserved for him his 12 sons. Joseph had given his father and his brothers as gifts to the right. Joseph had given his father and his brothers as a gift the right of dwelling in the land of Goshen and in Ramesses and in the entire region round it, which he ruled over in the presence of the Pharaoh. Okay, we keep going. Israel and his sons dwelt in the land of Goshen, the best part of the land of Egypt. And Israel was 130 years old when he came into Egypt. Joseph nourished his father and his brothers and also their possessions with bread as much as they needed for the 7 years of famine. The land of Egypt became available for purchase because of the famine. And Joseph acquired all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh in return for the food, and he got possession of the people and their cattle and everything for Pharaoh. The years of the famine were completed, and Joseph gave the people in the land seed and food that they might sow the land in the 8th year, because the river had overflowed all the land of Egypt. Okay. In the seven years of the famine, it had not overflowed. It had irrigated only a few places on the banks of the river. But now it overflowed, and the Egyptians sold the land and, and produced much corn that year. This was the first year of the 14th week of the 45th Jubilee. Joseph took 1/5 of the corn of the harvest for the king and left 4 parts of them for food and for seed. Joseph made it a law for Egypt until this day. Israel lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, and all the days which he lived were 3 jubilees, 147 years. And he died in the fourth year of the 5th week of the 45th Jubilee. Israel blessed his sons before he died and told them everything. Look at this. Israel blessed his sons before he died and told them everything they would go through in the land of Egypt. He revealed to them that they would live through in the last days and be blessed. And he blessed them and gave Joseph 2 portions of land. He slept with his fathers, and he was buried in a double cave in the land of Canaan, near Abraham his father, in the grave which he dug for himself in the land of Abram. And he gave all his books. See that? He gave all his books and the books of his fathers to Levi. See that? And his sons, so that they might preserve them and replicate them for his children until this day. See that? So these clowns, when they got hold to this right here, they went back and got the books and cut us off. See that? So what you have to understand for these people out there in YouTube world, they're hollering about all we need is 66 books. I'm gonna read this again. It says, and he gave all his books and all the books of his father. So he had the 4 King James Bible. The Israelites, they connected the books. They writing everything down. Like I told you, they connected at the hip with these rams and goats. Well, they got the books. They connected to the books. So if you're gonna throw them off, you're gonna finagle the books and take them away. So he says he gave all his books. So this Jacob, he got a truckload of books with him. So when you running around trying to get books, you ain't doing nothing no different than what he was doing. You just got to realize that he was toting books just like you trying to tote books. So he says, and he gave all his books and all the books of his fathers to Levi. Why Levi? Because Levi is he the one that's in charge. He the one that's in bringing the knowledge. He the one that rightly divide everything for the tribes of Israel. His sons, so that he might preserve them and replicate them for his children until this day. And that's the order of things right there. We ain't in the King James. We just got a truckload of truth, and we ain't in the King James. That's a problem. Okay, so I'm gonna open it up. If anybody got any questions or comments? Okay. Anybody got anything?
Hey, Leonard.
What you got?
Hey, that ties into Genesis 48:15 when Jacob was on his deathbed and he blessed the boys and he confessed that the angel
Right. Exactly.
was his God. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. You're right. You notice that he told them that Joseph was gonna get a double portion.
Right.
Yeah, so that explains that, because when they got to the land of Canaan and divided the land up, Joseph got a double portion. Manasseh and Ephraim. Ain't that something? So like
That's deep.
yeah, it ain't that understanding ain't in the King James. Come on, breakdown ain't. So you stuck out. You sitting there hinging off of those books in the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the books in the that's wrapped up in the King James Bible, you're gonna be left warm, void of understanding. Yeah. Anybody else? Nobody else got nothing? Okay. Let me go to this here right here, because I got two assignments out there floating around. One is Esther. Going in and pulling the rug out from under Esther, find out what's really going on with her, and we're going in on Antioch Epiphanes, doing some background research on them, so we can go in the rabbit hole. So right here, I'm gonna do this little. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but let me go to it. I'm gonna play it, then just like a golden nugget. I kept it for the last. Okay. Okay, I messed up. Let me see. Okay. There you go. Hopefully it'll come up. Yeah, hopefully it'll come up. So anyway, it's about let me see if I can get it like this. Okay.
By advertising on YouTube, I grow my business by reaching my most.
Okay. So this is okay. This Alexander. This is a famous speech Alexander made when he was getting ready to go to war over in the Bible in Daniel chapter 11. Talks about the angel telling you Gabriel said that he was with Darius whenever the ram and the he-goat. We said he was there when with Darius when he came up against Alexander. So this is the speech he made to wind his people up when they defeated the Persians. But he gonna give you a bunch of truth out of it while he talking. Okay. Here we go.
What I'm about to say isn't meant to stop you returning home. As far as I care, you can go wherever you wish. But I want you to know how you have behaved towards me, and how I have treated you. I'll begin, as is right, with my father, Philip. When he found you, you were mere peasant.
So I told you these Edomites. They ended up over there in with these Gentiles. And so listen what he telling them. He said, "We found y'all. My daddy Philip's daddy. Philip's daddy is Zephno. Zephno is one of Esau's sons. He's a mighty man, a giant. His mother was a giant. So he said, when my father found you, you wasn't nothing. Y'all was walking around with rags on, things around your waist. Now listen to what he said.
Peasants, wearing hides, tending a few sheep on the mountain slopes, and you could barely defend them from your neighbors.
Cain descendants.
Under him, you began living in cities. with good laws and customs, and he turned you from slaves into rulers over those very barbarians who used to plunder your land.
Esau. He able to do this because he was raised by Abraham.
He conquered most of Thrace, taking the best harbors so there was trade and prosperity, and put the mines to steady work. The Thessalians, they used to terrify you. Well, we rule them now. The Athenians and Thebans, always looking for a chance to attack Macedonia, were so humble, myself playing my small part in the war, that they no longer take tribute from Macedonia, but instead depend upon us for their protection. My father went to the Peloponnese and put their house in order. Then he was declared supreme commander of all the Greeks for the campaign against the Persians. An honor not just for himself, but for all Macedonians. This is what my father Philip did for you. Great enough on its own, but small compared to what you've gained from me. I crossed the Hellespont, even though back then the Persians still commanded the sea. I defeated the satraps of the great King Darius, and made you rulers of Ionia, Aeolis, Phrygia, and Lydia, and took Miletus by siege. The rest of the land surrendered willingly, and their wealth became yours. All the riches of Egypt and Cyrene, which I won without a fight, are yours now. Syria, Palestine, Mesopotamia, Babylonia, all belong to you. The wealth of Lydia, the treasures of Persia, the jewels of India and the outer sea. You are now satraps. You are generals and captives. What have I held back for myself apart from this purple cloak and diadem? Nothing. No man can point to my riches. Only.
So let's look at that. See what he on, right? He's standing up on a scaffold. Watch this. Let me get it right quick. Okay. 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 Yeah, I'll find it. I'll show it to you this evening. But when Solomon dedicated the temple, it tells you in the scriptures he was standing up on the scaffold like that. And he made this he made the famous prayer that everybody talks about. He made that famous prayer. He's standing up over all the Israelites on when they dedicated the temple. He was on the scaffold just like he is. But you got to take in mind this dude right here is an Edomite. You know, Macedonia, the Edomites, Philip, Alexandria, and Zephano, the Edomites. And he telling them right here, y'all wasn't nothing until we showed up and blowed you up.
The things I hold in trust for you all. And what would I do with them anyway? I eat what you eat. I get no more rest than you. Many times I have spent the night on watch so that you could sleep soundly. Who among you believes he's worked harder for me than I have for him? Come on. If you've got scars, strip and show them to me. I'll show you mine. There isn't one part of my body, the front at least, that doesn't bear a wound. My body's covered in scars from every weapon you can think of. Swords, arrows, stones, clubs. All for the sake of your lives, your glory, and your wealth. And yet here I still am, leading you, as conqueror of land and sea, rivers, mountains, and the plains. We've celebrated our weddings together. Many of your children will be cousins of my own. I've paid off your debts without asking how you got them, even though you're paid well enough and pillage every city we take. Many of you wear golden crowns, badges of courage and honor given you by me. Any one of us who was killed, who met a glorious end, we buried with full honors. Many now stand immortalized by bronze statues in Macedonia. Their families are honored and pay no taxes. Under my command, not one man has been killed fleeing the enemy.
Okay, yeah, so that's where all that comes from right here. Like I was telling you before they would go to war, this is what Alexander would do. Every time before he did this before they defeated Darius, but the first thing they do, they look up in the sky for Zeus. And so we don't pay attention to all that, but they're looking up in the sky because Zeus a thunderbird. A thunderbird is this big old giant. It's like an eagle, but he's supersized. It's a giant bird called a thunderbird. So before they go to war, they all look up. If they don't see that thunderbird, they wait. When they see that bird, that's when they go to war. So is that some kind of fiction? Is that fiction or what? Because they say when they look up and they don't see the bird, they don't go to war. So if they see it, then they go to war. So it had to be real. So who is this thunderbird? Like I said before, these angelic beings. Let's go look at it. It says in back in Daniel chapter 10. Right quick. Close out. Daniel chapter 10 says chapter 10, it says verse 20, Gabriel talking. It says 19 says, and Gabriel said, O man greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened and said, let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. Then said he, Gabriel, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. See that? Prince of Persia, that's a fallen angel. So it's an angel over Persia, right? Again, look what he say. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece, that's a fallen angel. Don't they have wings? Don't they have the ability to shape shift? So this is what they looking up in the sky for. Get the cue. See that? So he says, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. Right? He said, not only that, he fighting against Gabriel. Gabriel had fighting with him. So say, what you talking about? Well, Gabriel got wings. He up in the flying up in the sky. So he said when he got there, the prince of Greece came out of nowhere. The fallen angel came out and fight with him. He had to get Michael to come help him. So this is what they're looking at. Okay, yeah. So go back over here. We'll talk about it. Close out. Anybody got anything? Comments?
Don't story Constantine, he looked up at the sky too.
Yeah, he looked up at the sky too. Yeah, right. And then also, and even you got stories on down to modern day where George Washington supposedly saw this being that came to him, and Martin Luther supposedly saw this being that came to him. Right. But so, like I said, you got to go back and look at do the research on the Greeks, on their culture. Like I was saying before, these story is that Zeus got. First of all, he on a mountain. He live on a mountain, Mount Olympus, and he goes from Mount Olympus, sleep with all these women. He got 19, 20 kids. Hercules, one of them. Got all these different kids that he going sleeping with these women. Well, that's what Genesis 6 and Enoch tell us. These 200 angels came down and sleeping with women and got children. And so that's what Hercules, that's what Olympus, Alexander mama. She told him all his life, Philip ain't none of your daddy. Told him Zeus your daddy, which is Satan, which is Lucifer. That's your daddy. And she kept telling him he was going to be great. She knew he was going to be great because she know where he came from. Is that something? But like I said, we don't know these stories. So we don't, we can't interact them and tie them into the scriptures because you don't know the story. You ain't really know the story to find out what's going on with it. It's like Horus. When you know the story of Horus, Jesus is Horus. Horus ain't Jesus. Jesus is Horus. Horus came for him. Horus was immaculately conceived. Horus turned water into wine. Horus was in the temple in Thebes and Ramesses teaching the people at 12 years old. Jesus is Horus. Horus ain't none of him. That's denigration. He's the 16th one. Yeah. Okay. Anybody got anything else before we go? Any comments? Questions? Everybody good? Okay.
All good.
All
Okay.
good.
Okay. Let me get over here with this. Yeah, I see y'all this evening at 7 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock or 7?
6.
6, okay. I see y'all at 6 o'clock.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Okay.
Shabbat shalom.